Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. This video is part of the Scraptember video a day. Look for all of that information below in the comments. And I am working with Flair from a Flair for Buttons today as well. So when I started out, I knew I wanted to tell a long story. So I went ahead and had my Silhouette software. In my Silhouette software, I set up the journaling and I had my Silhouette Cameo print the journaling using a sketch pen. Then I knew that all I knew really that I wanted to do was add these two photos above the journaling with some stuff behind it. So some sort of layers behind the photos. So that's what I was looking for. Today I am working with a bunch of the same collection. I am working almost all with Slice of Life by Amy Tangerine. And this is the 6x8 paper pad. And so I am just going through now and pulling out things like this orange matches the guitar in the photo. And then I love that like chevron type arrowy looking paper. And then the black and white because there's so much black in the video. So before I get started here, I know that I'm going to go ahead and put some tissue paper behind my photos. So I go ahead and take care of that right away. The other thing that I do right away is once I get the tissue paper on, I'm going to pop up both of my pictures with just like some foam adhesive, some cheap foam adhesive. Add that to the back of both of the photos. Since I am going to overlap the photos a little bit, the one on the right is going to go up on top of the one on the left a little bit. So I just go ahead and put the backing over onto the right side a little bit more, so that it works. So, like I said, I want to put some layers behind my photo. All of these papers came from that paper pad by Amy Tangerine. I purchased, I think everything that I purchased here, with the exception of the Flair, is from the paper issue store. So I'll link that information below as well. If you are someone that watches my videos regularly, hi, welcome back, and I'm glad that you're here. If you are new to my channel, hi, and welcome to my channel. And I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that you enjoy what you see. So one of the things that I do all the time, if you're a frequent flyer on my channel, is I rip paper a lot. One of the things that I typically do is I also like to get a little bit messy. Although I'm not going to use a lot of mixed media on this layout, I have been known to do that. But I am going to rip some paper and add some messy stitching. So that is the fun that's coming up here. So I decided to go ahead and use this really colorful paper. One of the things that I really like to do is I like blacks and whites with pops of color. And so that's kind of what I'm going for here. I am going to put a few layers behind the photo, and then I want to put a little bit, some sort of little cluster down there in the bottom. I'm not really sure what yet, but I know that I'm going to do that. So anyway, let's see. What was I going to tell you? I guess maybe I could talk about the photos. So my photos today are two pictures that are actually screenshots from a video that we took. We love CheapTrick, and we went to a concert, and Beatrice got called up onto the stage. So let me tell you about my journaling. This is what it says. So this happened. Bea went on stage with CheapTrick. Dax gave her sticks, and she almost didn't take them because she thought he wanted her to play the drums on stage. Here is the deal. Since Bea was little, she has loved CheapTrick. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. I had pulled all of these black and white music themed, but not all music themed, pieces of Flair from a Flair for Buttons out already, and I just had them ready to go. I wasn't sure which ones I was going to use, but I knew I was going to kind of go with that black and white with pops of color, so I pulled the ones that I thought fit. Okay, so I'll continue to read the journaling. By the time she was 3, maybe sooner, she knew all of their names and most of the words to many of their songs. We have taken her to see them several times, and she was even on stage with them before, when she was 3. On this night, Rick asked her who her favorite band was. She paused and then said Miles Nilsson and the Rusted Hearts. Love her honesty. She also felt bad afterwards because she didn't understand that the sticks were a gift, and then she thought she may have hurt their feelings when she didn't say CheapTrick was her favorite. My girl, what an awesome night for her and a great show for all of us. So that is my journaling, and you can see why I wanted to get that story down. It was a super fun night, and she did end up getting those sticks from Dax, who's the drummer, Dax Nielsen. And just to give you, if you don't know, Miles Nielsen and the Rusted Hearts is one of her favorite bands, and Miles Nielsen happens to be brother to Dax Nielsen, the drummer, and son of Rick Nielsen, the guy holding the guitar in these photos. So, so it was actually kind of funny, and they all got a kick out of it. But she kind of felt bad because she realized afterwards, that she maybe should have said Cheap Trick. But it all turned out just fine. So anyway, so now I'm just kind of auditioning those Flair, trying to figure out which ones I want. I went ahead and stapled those background papers together, the layers. It just saves a little bit of adhesive by stapling them together. It also makes them, I can still move them just a little bit. And what I'm doing now is I'm kind of going through to determine, I always put a butterfly on each of my layouts of Beatrice, and I will link a video right here to let you know if you want to look at that and find out why I always do that. There's a video there that kind of explains that. And I'm looking to see if there are any other embellishments that I want to add to this layout. So I know that I need a little something at the top, and originally I thought I was going to use a border all the way around the outside, but here's where I decided to maybe just put it at the top. So I went ahead and just ripped the top of this off so it's kind of jagged looking, and I'm gonna add a little black and white, black paper with white polka dots on it to the top, and I really like how that looks, and that's really gonna help tie the whole thing together, I feel like. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish ripping that off. And what I'm doing here is the 12 by 12 paper. I'm leaving that paper at this point intact, that black paper, because I will use it as a guide because I've now cut it off. So now it's not 12 by 12 anymore. And I want it to be 12 by 12. So I'm using that guide, you can see there at the bottom, to kind of set it all together there like that so that I know where to or how much of a top part I'm going to have, so where to glue it and all that. So now I'm just lining this up on the bottom, and I use this technique a lot. So I'm lining up on the bottom, but I just glued the very top, so now I can just cut this part off, and I can use that paper for something else. I like to save the paper. So see how it looks like it might go across the whole back. It doesn't. So now I'm getting close to being ready to commit to gluing things down. I've already agreed to I already committed, I guess would be the right word, to that actual layer at the bottom, or the 3 layers of paper at the bottom. And right there, I was just taking my pen because I remembered that when I had typed up the journaling, I had made a typo, and I didn't find it until it already printed out. So I was just using my pen there. I don't know if you saw that, to like fix an error in the journaling, a spelling error. So now I'm going through and I'm trying to decide what I want. I really thought I would add some of these layers, or not layers, these stickers, or maybe even there was a love. I thought I might go with Cheap Trick Love or Love of Cheap Trick or something like that for my title, and I don't end up adding any of those pieces of ephemera, I don't think. So I walked away, which I often do, and I came back, and I don't even remember if it was the next day or just later that evening, and I decided to add some stitching. Excuse me, stitching to the layout. So I just have my machine right there on my desk, just to the top, and I'm just taking some black thread and putting a little strip above the top, at the top, and a little bit underneath the journaling to kind of give it, my journaling, a home. And then I added a little bit to that strip at the bottom. I'm going to end up adding a little bit more here in a second. So I'm using this straight edge T-square ruler to make sure the top part of my layers are at least pretty close to being straight. Like I said, I'm kind of messy, so I don't mind if it's not perfect, but I like some things to be just not completely wonky. I added a little bit of stitching there. And then I did find this piece of ephemera that says Good Times. It's just like supposed to be a journal spot. But I really liked it. It has a little bit of color on it, but it's mostly white. And I really liked the idea of Good Times because it really was good times. So now I decided that I needed a little bit more messy stitching at the bottom. So I put it on the strips at the bottom, and then a little bit more, actually quite a bit more, to be honest, underneath the journaling. And I just like that so much better. That messy stitching that I did above that photo made it so that I felt like I needed messy stitching everywhere else. So now I'm going to go ahead and commit and glue everything down. That C had a little problem with my machine when I was sewing, and so I had to kind of glue that down a little bit. Another thing that I often do, if you're someone that follows my channel often, you'll know that I put some tangled thread on my layout for some pops of color, and it worked really well for this underneath each of the 3 pieces of Flair. By the way, I will link the Flair below, so I'll tell you which Flair this all comes from. I think they're from different collections of Flair from a Flair for Buttons, but I will link that all below so that you can have access to that if you would like it. So yeah, so I really love how this ended up coming together. I'm almost done here. I'm just going to add this Flair, and I thought about adding some of those stickers, changed my mind, added the date, and I just decided after I added the date that I really don't need anything else, and it looks kind of plain. And I needed still to have a butterfly, so I did that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of splatters, black splatters in my 3 different cluster areas, and then call it done. I felt like if I added anything else, it was just going to clutter it up. I kind of wanted the photos and the journaling to be the star of this layout, and I feel like I accomplished that. And I love the pops of rainbow color. It just makes me happy to see that. So the close-ups are coming up here in just a second. So once again, I'd like to remind you of a couple things. All the information is below about where I got my materials from a Flair for Buttons and from the Paper Issue Store. I am a design team member for both of those places. Also, there's the Flair, so here it comes. And then I am participating in Scraptember. I am the guest designer today, so please check out those other people that are participating in that today, and actually the whole month of Scraptember. There have been some amazing layouts shared. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.